Coming up on Sports Tonight, what was worse, the weather or the game? The Browns lose an ugly one to the Raiders right before the bye week. We'll hear from Coach Stefanski and Baker Mayfield.
We win as a team and lose as a team, so this league is hard.
The voice of the Browns, Jim Donovan, is here with his take as we've hit the midway point of the season.
So the Browns are 5-3, very acceptable 8 games into this season.
Plus, this week, the MAC is back. We meet one of the conference's best players from Kent State, and the machine that is Ohio State keeps on rolling.
We had some adversity along the way. We just kept playing hard.
Hey, I thought Halloween was over. Sports Tonight starts now.
It's caught by Harrison Bryant. He's to the 35. He's to the 30. He fumbled. Loose ball. Picked up. They got it. Morrow, the linebacker, picks it up on a Harrison Bryant fumble. Carr back to pass. Throws down by the goal line. It's caught and juggled and caught by Hunter Renfrow. Touchdown, Raiders. Snap back, ball down, kick on the way. It is up, and it is no good. Wide left, and that is ball game.
Well, it wasn't pretty, and I'll let you decide whether I'm talking about the game or the weather that was out there today, because the Browns fall to the Raiders, dropping their record to 5-3 on the season. And we head into the bye week now. Let's get right to it here on Sports Tonight. Get you caught up on everything that happened. Our game of the day brought to you by Brunswick Auto Mart. Car buying made truly simple. This was a game you would have liked to get right before the bye week, but it just was a sloppy, ugly game. This play really a microcosm of the Browns' day. Harrison Bryant fumbling on what looked like a promising drive. Then at the start of the fourth quarter, Derek Carr finds Hunter Renfrow for the touchdown, and that's pretty much your ball game, as the Raiders would never relinquish the lead after that. So, Coach Stefanski, I don't know, what did you see out there?
Wish we were able to put some drives together there, extended drives. But if you don't possess the ball and you leave the defense on the field that long and then they don't get off the field, it's just it's hard to win. And again, they did a nice job. They earned that victory.
Okay, it was ugly, but big picture, the Browns are still 5-3, and they're heading into the bye week now. I kind of feel like we need some perspective right now, and to get some of that, we check in with the voice of the Browns, our very own Jim Donovan.
Hello from windy, snowy, cold First Energy Stadium. Perfect weather for a Browns win, right? I mean, against a team from Las Vegas? No, wrong. The Raiders beat the Browns on this Sunday afternoon and send the Browns into their bye week with a stinging loss, 16-6. No offense on this day, just 2 field goals, and defensively, they put up a good fight. But the Browns offense stripped down with no Nick Chubb, no OBJ, no Austin Hooper, no Wyatt Teller, couldn't overcome those losses today and couldn't overcome themselves. Some key mistakes, a big fumble by Harrison Bryant early on their first drive deep in Raider territory, and a big drop by David Njoku on a drive when the Browns were trying to tie the game up. And in between that, they watched the Raiders get key first down conversions on multiple third down situations where they beat the Browns defense. A very frustrating day.
A very frustrating game. I felt, me personally, I didn't do enough to help the team win or make enough plays. And like I said, just gotta get better during this bye week and find a way to get the next win next game.
We believe in this locker room, and we're going to continue to get better and hopefully go on a streak right after this bye week. Like I said, get healthy and focus on getting better.
So the Browns are 5-3, very acceptable 8 games into this season, and still very much on course to try and make a playoff run. And with a favorable schedule for the final 8 games, it can be done, especially by getting those injured offensive players, especially Nick Chubb, back into the lineup. But on this day, a disappointing day and a long time to think about it before they play again. The Raiders beat the Browns by 10. Ouch. 16-6. From First Energy Stadium, I'm Jim Donovan, Channel 3 Sports.
Great stuff, Jimmy. All right, let's dig in a little bit deeper into this game. And I got to tell you, I'm a little concerned about Browns defensive end Myles Garrett because, earlier in the week, he was dealing with the ankle injury. Remember, he missed Wednesday's practice and Thursday's practice with the ankle. Well, today against the Raiders, he was really a non-factor. We learned after the game that he was hampered by a knee injury, and now he's going to need an MRI on it later today. That's too bad. He's been having such a great season. All right, our play of the day is brought to you by Union Home Mortgage. And Browns pass catchers, they really had a case of the drops today. Jarvis Landry with a big drop in the second quarter. That would have put Cleveland in the red zone. Then you had David Njoku with a bad drop on third down in the fourth quarter. We'll definitely be hearing Njoku's name leading up to the trade deadline. And, listen, the weather was brutal out there today, so I'm not going to sit here and bash Baker Mayfield, but it certainly wasn't one of his best games behind center. Just 12 of 25 through the air for 122 yards. Again, bad conditions, but he just never could get into a rhythm, and neither could the entire offense.
We win as a team and lose as a team. So this league is hard. It's hard to win. So we have to be more consistent to be able to accomplish that. And like I keep saying, just to learn from this film, move forward, and get better. That's all we can do. And we're going to do all of that as a team. We're going to put the work in as a team and get better as a team.
All right, we are joined by Scott Petrak from the Chronicle Telegram. He's covered the Browns for a long time. And Scott, we got to start with the weather. I know both teams had to deal with it. I get it. But did it look to you like it had an effect on that Browns offense, especially Baker Mayfield?
You know what, Nick? I think it had an effect overall, but basically on the game. It was a shorter game. The Browns only had 6 possessions. I thought Baker, for the most part, threw it okay, but the guys didn't catch the ball for him. I counted at least 4 drops, and when you're only throwing it 22 times, that makes a big difference.
Scott, I'm not here making excuses, but no OBJ, no Nick Chubb. I mean, did we start to see this a little bit kind of catching up to this Browns offense?
Yeah, it's so hard to tell when the weather is like it was today. But you certainly miss those guys. And I think the longer the Browns got into Nick Chubb's absence, the more they missed him. And I think a day like today, when you see Josh Jacobs have the kind of performance he did for the Raiders, I think that's the kind of performance Nick Chubb would have had, because he just runs a bit harder than Kareem does. I mean, Kareem's a really good back, but Nick Chubb's just a different style. And I think the Browns really missed him over this absence, and hopefully they get him back coming out of the bye week.
Scott, you've done this a long time. So how do we view this? Because, okay, in the micro, they lose an ugly game to the Raiders, a team that could be also heading to the playoffs. So that's tough. But if I told you that after 8 weeks the Browns would be 5-3, I mean, big picture, this is still a pretty good spot they're in.
I completely agree with that part, Nick. I mean, 8 weeks ago, you said 5-3. I think everybody would have taken it, given how bad they've been in the past. It was 6-10 a year ago. They fired their coach. There's no offseason, no preseason. But the hot start raised expectations, especially in that locker room. And I thought it was telling that Baker Mayfield said he's ticked off that they're only 5-3 and think they can be better. And I think that's the right attitude to have. And say, hey, 5-3. Hopefully they get healthier coming out of the bye. Hopefully Myles Garrett's knee injury isn't that serious. And then the schedule eases up too, and you would assume that they're going to win a number of games in the second half of the season.
Scott, we've reached the midway point. In your eyes, does the bye come at a good time?
I think it really does. I do. We mentioned injuries. If you can get Nick Chubb and Austin Hooper and Wyatt Teller all back after the bye, that would be huge. And then you give Myles Garrett that extra week, and hopefully that helps him. And I just think the midpoint of the season is usually a good time for it. You can catch your breath. The Browns have to figure out some things on defense. The trade deadline's Tuesday, so maybe they make a move and address one of those areas. I do think it comes at a good time.
Scott, really appreciate the time, man.
Thanks, Nick.
Our player of the day is brought to you by Mr. Hero. The Raiders only passed for 101 yards, but they got it done on the ground today. Josh Jacobs, he rumbled for 128 yards on 31 carries. That was his season high for him, and it was by more than 30 yards his season high. Denzel Ward, he said the Browns just could not come up with the stops when they needed them most.
Yeah, it was very frustrating. I mean, that's our goal going on the field, to be able to get off the field on third down and make plays, and we just wasn't able to do that.
Our sports flashback brought to you by Northeast Factory Direct. Great furniture, great prices. We take you back to the year 2001. That was the last time the Browns were over the 500 mark at the bye week. Remember the head coach that year? Butch Davis. Now, the next season, the Browns went to the playoffs. All right, what happened to the Ravens after a halftime that hasn't happened in the Lamar Jackson era? We'll tell you about it next.
We are where we are, and we can only deal with that and move forward and continue to get better. Like you said, it's about putting in the work and 1 week at a time until we reach that end goal.
Well, we know the Browns couldn't get the job done today against the Raiders. Let's check in on the rest of the AFC North Division, see how teams finished up today. Steelers and the Ravens in Baltimore. Dez Bryant taking this one, and he just signed to the Ravens practice squad. Early fourth quarter, Lamar Jackson slings it to Marquise Brown. That gives Baltimore a 24-21 lead, but look at Big Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers. They come all the way back. He finds Chase Claypool in the corner of the end zone to put the Steelers on top for good. Pittsburgh wins 28-24. First time in the Lamar Jackson era that the Ravens have lost when leading at halftime. They were 23-0 before today. What do you think, Big Ben?
I don't think at any point in this game, offensively, was it a pretty game. Was it first half wasn't pretty, second half wasn't pretty. I mean, nothing about this game was pretty from our perspective until the game was over and we looked at the scoreboard and saw that we had won.
The Bengals hosting the Titans in Cincy. No way Tennessee could lose this one, right? Huh? Think again. Look at Giovanni Bernard. He runs up the middle for an 11-yard touchdown. 17-7 Bengals at the half. Early third quarter, Joe Burrow. He finds Tyler Boyd for another score. Cincinnati ends a 3-game losing skid in style. The Bengals upsetting the Titans 30-21. All right, here's a look at the AFC North. You got the Steelers now with a 2-game lead for first place. They are unbeaten. All right, we got a great story for you out of Kent State. Find out how a former Midview star has gone from backup quarterback to one of the top signal callers in the country. Welcome back to Sports Tonight, and it is week 2 of the Big Ten football season already in the books. And as you would expect, the Buckeyes, they're 2-0. And it turns out that Happy Valley is not such a tough place to play when they can't pack 100,000 fans into Beaver Stadium. Ohio State wins 38-25. Up next for the Buckeyes, they'll be at home against Greg Schiano and Rutgers. Here's Ryan Day.
It was a big step forward. To win this game on a road is a huge step for us. But there's a lot to be done. Absolutely. There's a lot to be done. And we'll just keep going back to work. But I think that's really encouraging that there's a lot of work to be done and you still play like this and win like this.
All right, how about some action? Kent State will open its season Wednesday against Eastern Michigan. The Flashes won their first ever bowl last season. And as Pat Chiesa tells us, a former Lorain County standout is hoping to lead his team to another big year.
Kent State came out of nowhere last season, from 3-6 in November to 7-6 and Frisco Bowl champs in December. So it's fitting that the face of the team has taken a similar route.
He's changed the way that I look at the evaluation process. What I oversold back then versus what I kind of undervalued.
Back in 2016, Dustin Crum was a star quarterback for Midview, setting Lorain County records for touchdown passes and passing yards. But big-name colleges like Ohio State and Alabama never came calling.
Always kind of felt like I had enough success to, I guess, be more highly recruited. So I always kind of felt like the underdog a little bit, as in the way that I was disrespected in some ways.
Crum took that chip on his shoulder with him to Kent State.
See you later!
Where a year later, he'd be playing for new head coach Sean Lewis.
Welcome, here's your jersey.
One of the same coaches who didn't recruit him.
When I showed up here, everyone else was probably really, really happy to see me, but Dustin was probably pretty off because I had told him that I wasn't going to recruit him when I was at Bowling Green.
It didn't get any easier for Crum when he lost the battle for the starting quarterback job in 2018. But instead of transferring, he returned to Kent for his junior season on a mission.
My mindset was that I left it too close and that the best way to do it this year is to give him no choice but to play me.
Crum won the job and never looked back, throwing for 20 touchdowns and running for 6 more scores. In the span of a year, the former Middie has gone from backup to NFL prospect.
I was actually talking to an NFL personnel member yesterday, and I said, you need to come out here because I think I got the next Ryan Fitzpatrick, a guy who's got just tremendous grit, tremendous resolve that his teammates are absolutely going to love. Like, that's kind of what I see.
Crum used to be overlooked, but if he can pick up where he left off last season, Flashes fans won't be able to look away. Pat Chiesa, 3 Sports.
Great stuff, Pat. Good luck to the Golden Flashes this year. All right, the trick play for high school football you will not want to miss. Stay right there. Time for the high school football play of the week. Kirtland's Mason Sullivan takes the pitch and airs it out to his brother Gage Sullivan for the Hornet touchdown. Just how Tiger Laverty drew it up, huh? The Hornets beat Garraway for their 38th straight win. They'll play their 11th straight regional final on Saturday. Good luck to them. That's going to do it for this edition of Sports Tonight. Special thanks to David Kinder and Frank Masick for all their help tonight. And a special thanks to you. Have a great week. Stay safe out there.